Hello everyone, I am Dr. Ankita Jain, again presenting before you a series of periodontal classification and scoring, in which in first part we have discussed the classification of gingival enlargement. In part 2 we will be discussing classification of furcation involvement. Now there are around 21 classifications, out of which 2 are recently proposed and they are very detailed one. So I will be taking those 2 classifications in the next video. Rest of the 19 classifications we will discuss in this video. Okay, so let's begin. Before discussing the classification, first we will get familiar with some definitions and introduction, some terminologies, then we will discuss classifications. At last, I'll give you some references to read. Definition and introduction. So first of all, according to Carenza, furcation is basically defined as an area of complex anatomic morphology that is difficult or impossible to debride by routine periodontal instrumentation. Next, according to GPT, furcation is an area of a multi-rooted tooth where the roots diverge. And third, Linde basically gave the definition of furcation invasion or furcation involvement. So this is the pathological resorption of the bone within the furcation. So when any kind of pathologic process or disease invade and bleeds to the resorption of the bone in the furcation area, then such process is known as furcation involvement. Let's see some terminologies. First is root complex. Root complex is the portion of the tooth which is located apical to the CEJ. So this much is known as the root complex. Next is root trunk. Now this root complex is basically divided into two parts, root trunk and root cone. Root trunk is the distance between the CEJ and the separation line between the two root cones. And the root cone is included in the divided region of the root complex. So root complex is basically divided into root cone and root trunk, root cone. Next is furcation entrance. So here you can see that if there are three roots present, this is the example of maxillary molar where there are three roots. So the area between the two roots will be taken as furcation entrance. Now there are three furcation entrances in the maxillary molars. Mesial furcation entrance on the mesial part, distal furcation entrance between the distal root and the palatal root, and the buccal furcation entrance between the mesiobuccal root and the distobuccal root. Next is fornix. It is the roof of the furcation. Next is degree of separation and divergence. Degree of separation is the angle of separation between the two roots. Okay, so this degree of separation is basically the angle, and divergence is the distance between the two roots. This distance, it increases when we move from coronal to apical region. Next is coefficient of separation. It is the length of the root cones in relation to the length of root complex. So it is a ratio basically. Okay, so coefficient of separation is here A by B. A represents the root cone and B represents the root complex. Now let's see the classifications. So this is the listing of classifications. There are horizontal classifications in which horizontal component of the furcation is taken, vertical classifications in which only vertical component is taken, and some new classifications have been proposed recently which are very detailed one and very good. Let's start with the horizontal classifications. Now this is the most used and pioneer classification of the furcation involvement, which was given by Glickman in 1953. Glickman has divided the furcation involvement into 4 grades: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. Though Glickman has some disadvantages, but it is extensively used in the clinical practices. Now let's see what is grade 1. So it is the incipient or early stage of furcation involvement. The pocket is suprabony and primarily affects only the soft tissue. Early bone loss may have occurred with increase in probing depth. Radiographic changes not usually found. Okay, so these are the 4 points which represents the grade 1. Here you can see in the figure also. Next is grade 2. Grade 2 affects one or more furcation of the same tooth, first of all. Okay, it can involve buccal furcation, mesiobuccal furcation, distobuccal furcation. These all may get involved in, then it will be considered as grade 2. Second furcation lesion is cul-de-sac type. Cul-de-sac type means it, literal meaning of cul-de-sac in medical language means that it's a cave, like it has one opening but the other opening is closed. Okay, so here the furcation from one end is open but it has not involved the other entrance, so it is closed from the other entrance. Okay, so this is the closed end and this is the open end. Okay, so it is a cul-de-sac type. Vertical bone loss may be present. Radiographs may or may not show the furcation involvement. Okay, because in case of maxillary molars, the palatal root actually overlaps the furcation entrance, and so radiographically we may not see the grade 2 furcation involvement in maxillary molars. Grade 3, basically bone is not attached to the dome of furcation, that is the roof of furcation. Okay, opening may be filled with soft tissue. Interference to probe penetration will be there by the bifurcation ridges which are present on the inner aspect of the roots or with the facial lingual bony margins. So complete bone resorption doesn't take place. Just the bone at the dome of the furcation or at the roof of the furcation is not attached, but at the rest of the part bone may be present. Buccal lingual probing dimension is equal or greater than the buccolingual dimension of the tooth at the furcation orifice. Okay, so if we measure the furcation involvement horizontally buccolingually, then it may equal to or it may be greater than the buccolingual dimension of the tooth. Radiographic defect as radiolucent area in the crotch of the tooth may be present. Next is grade 4. Here we all know that there is destruction of the interdental bone completely and there is no soft tissue present. Soft tissue recession has already taken place apically. Opening is very much visible clinically in the oral cavity. Okay, and the probe also passes from one aspect of the tooth to the other aspect, from one entrance to the other entrance. So here there is complete destruction of bone as well as receding of the soft tissues takes place. Glickman's classification is extensively used in day-to-day clinical practice, but it has got certain disadvantages. Like first disadvantage is horizontal attachment loss. They have only taken the point of reference as horizontal attachment loss and has not mentioned anything about the vertical involvement of furcation. Next is absence of any precise numerical values. So they have used some subjective terms like earlier incipient lesions, but they haven't defined that how much amount of the bone loss is there. So there is absence of such kind of measurement. In grade 1 and grade 2 furcation lesions, the relationship with gingival margin has not been defined in Glickman's classification. This makes its third disadvantage. Actually, if you see the figure, then there is involvement of furcation but only at the initial stage. And if you will see, there is gingival recession also. Okay, so according to Glickman's, if we consider only the horizontal attachment loss, then it goes in the grade 1 classification. But if we consider the gingival margin recession, then it goes in grade 4 category, because in grade 4 Glickman has taken consideration of gingival recession. So the point of reference is horizontal attachment loss, and since there is no mention of the gingival recession in class 1 and class 2, so it's difficult to categorize such cases according to the Glickman's classification. Now the fourth disadvantage is in Glickman's classification, grade 3 and grade 4 furcation lesion, interradicular bone is completely absent. The only difference between grade 3 and grade 4 is that in grade 4 the furcation entrance is exposed and in grade 3 it is resisted by some bony margins or bony ridges. Otherwise, if we consider only the horizontal attachment loss, which is the major criteria of the classification, then in both the groups, in both the grades, basically there is complete absence of the bone. So it is little confusing that what to consider. The resistance should be considered or the horizontal attachment loss should be considered. According to this, it has been proposed that grade 3 and grade 4 should be divided into some subtypes rather than making them completely different grades. So this is the disadvantage of the Glickman's classification. Next we come on to the Goldman, which has given his classification in 1958. It's a very simple classification, just similar to Glickman's. In grade 1 he considered incipient percussion involvement, that is just starting. Grade 2 cul-de-sac, that is in the percussion involvement, one end is open and the other end is closed. And in grade 3 through and through percussion involvement was considered. Next is Staphylinno, given his classification 1969 based on the surface location, degree of percussion, exposure. These two criteria were taken. Class 1, percussion with soft tissue lesion extending to the furcal level but with minor degree of osseous destruction. That is, only initial bone loss is there and the soft tissue has receded to involve the suffocation region. Class 2, percussions with the soft tissue lesion and there is more osseous destruction than the class 1. Okay, but it is not through and through communication through the furca. Now class 2 is further subdivided into class 2F when the facial aspect is involved. Class 2L when the percussion involvement is from the lingual aspect only. Class 2M when the percussion involvement is from the mesial aspect only. Class 2D when it is from distal aspect only. Then last category was class 3 when the osseous destruction is severe and there is through and through communication from the buccal to lingual aspect or from mesial to distal aspect. Okay, so that is what is given by the Staphylinno. Next is the classification given by Hemp et al. 1975. It is the most simplest form of classification and in the various modification of this classification. So he has not given it as class or grade. He has considered giving the name as degree 1, degree 2 and degree 3. So only 1/3 of the periodontal support is lost, then it is considered as degree 1. If more than 1/3 but less than 2/3 horizontal loss of periodontal support is there, then it is considered as degree 2. And if there is through and through destruction of the periodontal tissues in the percussion area, then it is considered degree 3. Next we come on to the Ramford and Ash. They have given classification in 1979. According to them, it is divided into class 1, class 2 and class 3. Class 1, again there is the beginning of the percussion involvement. The tissue destruction is less than 2 mm or less than 1/3 of the total tooth width into the percussion. So they have given the numerical value measurement in the horizontal destruction of the bone in the percussion area. Class 2, it is cul-de-sac type, that is one end is open and the other end is closed. The destruction of the bone horizontally is greater than 2 mm or greater than 1/3 of the tooth width, but it is not through and through percussion involvement. Class 3, there is through and through percussion involvement. Next we come on to the Richetti's classification, which was given in 1982. According to him, class 1, when the 1 mm horizontal measurement is there for bone loss or percussion involvement. Class 1A, 1 to 2 mm of horizontal invasion, but there are certain kind of earliest damage. Class 2, 2 to 4 mm of horizontal invasion. Class 2A, 4 to 6 mm of horizontal invasion. Class 3, more than 6 mm of horizontal invasion. So basically he has given some numerical values according to which we can measure the horizontal invasions and grade them in different classes. Okay, now we come on to the classification given by Toll and Lemmer in 1982. According to them, they have classified the Caucasian Involvement Index scores 1, 2, 3 and 4, according to which Furcal rating 1, the depth of furcation is 0 mm. They have also given numerical measurements according to which we can rate them. So furcation rating 1, 0 mm, furcation rating 2 when the invasion is up to the 1 to 2 mm, furcation rating 3 when the invasion of the furcation is up to 3 mm, furcation rating 4 when it is 4 mm or more. Then we come on to the Linde's classification, which was given in 1983. Linde has classified the furcation involvement on the basis of the loss of interradicular bone. So it is considered as grade 1 furcation involvement when the loss of interradicular bone is equal to 1/3, that is this. Okay. Grade 2, loss of interradicular bone greater than 1/3 but not through and through, that is partial. So if we move horizontally, if it is less than 1/3 of the horizontal invasion, then it is grade 1. If it is more than 1/3 but less than 2/3 or not through and through, then it is grade 2. It is also said partial. And if in grade 3 there is total furcation involvement, there is through and through penetration of the probe, and that is considered as grade 3. It is total. So initial, partial and total. Next we come on to the Feddy's classification, which was given in 1985. He combined the Glickman's classification and Ham classification. So basically you all know what is Glickman's classification. You remember it. I'll again make you revise the Ham classification. That is less than 1/3 of the horizontal invasion, more than 1/3 but less than 2/3 of the tooth width, and total tooth width is involved. So Feddy combined the Glickman's and Ham classification. He has graded the classification 1 to 4 according to Glickman only. But what he did little modification in grade 2 furcation. In grade 2 furcation, he basically subdivided into degree 1 and degree 2. So degree 1 less than 3 mm of horizontal invasion is there, and in degree 2 more than 3 mm of horizontal invasion is there. Okay, he took some idea from Ham and some idea from Glickman and combined both of them to give this classification. Next is Grant et al. 1988. Here classman just involvement of the flute, that is very incipient lesion. Next is involvement partially under the roof of dome. This is very gross classification. And third, class 3 is through and through loss of furcation of bone and attachment. Next was given by Basaraba in 1990, according to which class 1 or incipient lesion is defined as the site where the probe will just sink into shallow V-shaped notch in the furcation area and there is no interbony lesion. Class 2 involvement is diagnosed as patent furcal invasion, means you can actually feel that the probe is going on into the furcation area. And class 3 furcation is present when there is through and through communication between the second or third furcal opening. Next we come on to the Nevin's CAPTA 1988. Class 1 there is incipient or early loss of attachment. Class 2 there is deeper invasion and loss of attachment, but it is not the complete invasion. And class 3 there is complete loss of periodontium extending from the buccal surface to the lingual surface, can be diagnosed radiographically and clinically both. So it is also a kind of cross classification, initial, deeper and complete. This was given by Walter et al. In 2009. It is also modification of Ham et al. Classification. The only thing is that he divided degree 2 into degree 2 and degree 2 to 3. Okay. So what Walter did, basically he modified the degree 2. Okay, this one. Degree 1 is similar to the Ham that is less than 1/3 of the width of the tooth. In degree 2, what he did more than 3 mm but less than 6 mm. And degree 2 to 3, he categorized it as more than 6 mm but not completely through the furcation or not through and through furcation involvement. And grade 3, there is through and through destruction of the bone. So now we come on to the vertical classification. Till now we have seen that in all the classifications the authors have considered the bone loss in the horizontal direction, but they haven't considered and they haven't mentioned anything about the bone loss in the vertical direction. So here in vertical classifications, the authors have combined both the things. They have considered the bone loss in the vertical as well as in the horizontal directions and have proposed these classifications. First is Esley and Renon in 1969. According to it, class 1 is incipient involvement, entrance of the furcation, detectable with no horizontal bone loss. So it is just the initiation and there is no bone loss in the horizontal direction. Next is class 2, and class 2 is divided into type 1 and type 2. Here horizontal bone loss is there but no vertical component is involved. And type 2 horizontal bone loss is there but with the vertical bone loss. Okay. See, type 2 1, here horizontal component is involved but no vertical component is there. Here horizontally the bone loss is there as well as vertically the bone loss is there. So type 2 1, type 2 2. Then type 3, type 1. Type 3, there is through and through bone loss with no vertical component. That means only the bone loss is in this direction but not in vertical direction or in downward direction. And type 3, type 2 is this, where there is through and through bone loss in horizontal direction and there is bone loss also in the vertical direction. So here class 3, type 2. So next we come on to the Rosenberg classification given in 1979. Okay, so when horizontally the probe is inserted and the measurement comes out to be less than 4 mm, then degree 1, more than 4 mm, degree 2, and when such measurements come from 2 or through 3 different furcations, then it is considered as degree 3. Now its vertical component is little tricky to understand. It is categorized into shallow and deep. Now first of all, you understand what is interradicular defect. What do they mean by that? Interradicular defect means the bone loss takes place between the roots. Okay, somewhere here between the roots. Okay, now if the bone loss between the roots extends horizontally like this, slightly, then it is considered as shallow. If it extends more than shallow or greater in the lateral direction, then it is considered as deep, but it is not penetrating the adjacent furcations. So this is what is the vertical component. Basically, the bone loss starts from the middle of the trifurcation area and then it extends laterally. If it is slight lateral extension, then it is considered under shallow. If it is more, then it is considered as deep. So let's come on to now on the Tarnow and Fletcher classification, which was given in 1984. It is most simplest form of classification in the when the vertical involvement is considered. So here he has divided into subclass A, B and C. Subclass A is considered when the bone loss is vertical only up to 0 to 3 mm. Okay. Subclass B is considered when the bone loss is up to the 4 to 6 mm vertically. And subclass 7 when bone loss is severe and is more than 7 mm vertically. So that is how it is subclass A, B and C. Next is Esco and Capin in 1984. They have also the same subclasses as Tarnow and Fletcher, but they have used thirds instead of the numerical values. Like subgroup A vertical osseous defect up to 1/3 of the root. That means up to this much. Subgroup B, when the vertical osseous defect is up to the 2/3 of the root, that is this much. And if it is more than 2/3 of the root, then it is considered in subgroup C. There are three classes, that is class 1, class 2, class 3. Classes are basically same as it was given by Hamp et al. Now you remember Hamp et al. We have seen that if less than 1/3 of the tooth width is involved horizontally, then it is degree 1, degree 2, degree 3. Those degrees are changed into class 1, class 2, class 3 by Ho et al. Okay. And they have given two subclasses, that small a is for suprabony defect, small b is for infrabony defect. Vertically, they have considered types A, B and C. According to them, type A is basically the root trunk presents 1/3 of the root complex. Okay, this one. Type B is root trunk represents the half of the root complex. And type C, root trunk, represents the cervical 2/3 of the root complex. So horizontally, they have taken class 1, class 2, class 3, similar to that of Hamp et al. And vertically they have taken type A, type B, type C as mentioned in this figure. Now they have combined these two and made their grades. Like for example, this is type A. If we keep the type A constant, that is, we consider that the root trunk is involved up to 1/3, cervically up to 1/3, and horizontal component is less than 1/3 of the tooth width, then it becomes type A class 1. Again, type A is same, that is vertical bone loss is up to 1/3, but the horizontal bone loss is more than 1/3. Then it becomes type A class 2. Again, type A remains same, that is vertical bone loss is up to 1/3, but the horizontal component is through and through. Then it becomes type A class 3. So with each type 3 classes, that makes total 9 combinations. Let's see here in the figure that here green color represents the type A, that is only up to 1/3 of the root trunk is involved vertically, and class 1 represents that horizontally less than 1/3 of the tooth width is involved. In type A class 2, vertical component remains same but horizontal component increases. Here in type A class 3, vertical component remains same but class 3, that is through and through furcation involvement is there. Then we come on to the type B class 1. Type B, the vertical component is more than 1/3 but less than 2/3. In type B, less than 1/3 of the horizontal width of the tooth is involved. In type B class 2, basically horizontal involvement is more than 1/3 but less than 2/3. In type B class 3, it is through and through involvement of horizontal component. Then we see on to the type C class 1. In type C class 1, type C, more than 2/3 of the root trunk is involved. Type C class 1 means horizontally only 1/3 is involved. Type C class 2 means horizontally more than 1/3 but less than 2/3 of the horizontal component is involved. And type C class 3, through and through is involved horizontally. So that is how with each types there are 3 different classes. Next is according to the glossary of periodontal terms, which was given in 2001, according to which class 1 there is minimal but notable bone loss in furcation area. Class 2, there is variable degree of bone destruction but not extending completely through furcation. Class 3, bone resorption extending completely through furcation. These are my references. So if you have any doubt in any of the classifications, kindly comment in the comment section or email me on my email ID. Or you can also suggest me the topics if you want taken to be in prior. I'll try to make videos on those topics. Some of the suggestions have already been given to me and I'm trying my best to put videos on those concepts. And lastly, the next 2 classifications which have been proposed in a very detailed way recently in 2000 18, I will be taking in the very next video so that we complete this topic of classification. And I hope you have got a good collection of classifications related to vocational involvement. Study it, revise it. These are very simple to understand. Okay, thank you.